Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Have you ever been curious about why certain Jefferson nickels hold extraordinary value? In today's discussion, we will explore the fascinating world of the rarest and most expensive Monticello nickels, unveiling the hidden treasures within these remarkable coins. Let's dive in. First on our list is the 1965 Jefferson nickel. However, this isn't just any typical 1965 nickel. We're talking about a particular variety, one that lacks a mint mark and features an exceptionally striking color. Stay tuned, as what follows is truly remarkable. Before we get into the specifics, let's review some background. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, bearing the likeness of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. However, it was in 1965 that a particular version of this coin began attracting significant attention from collectors. In 1965, the U.S. Mint produced nickels in three distinct locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The version we are focusing on today comes from Philadelphia, but interestingly there is no mint mark to indicate this. To add to the rarity, this coin has developed a unique vibrant color which contributes to its exceptional value. You may be wondering, what is the story behind this rare coloration? Typically, Jefferson nickels are composed of a mixture of silver and copper, resulting in a silver-gray appearance. However, over time some nickels exhibit an unusual reddish hue. This phenomenon is often the result of a chemical reaction, the interaction of other metals, or simply the effects of time. When we refer to the red color shade, we are discussing a particularly rare occurrence where the coin has acquired a striking reddish tint across its entire surface. This distinctive coloration often indicates that the coin has been preserved in pristine conditions, free from excessive wear and environmental damage. This combination of unique color and condition makes the 1965 Philadelphia nickel an exceptional and sought-after item for collectors. As with any collectible, the condition of the coin plays a pivotal role in determining its value. The Sheldon scale is commonly used to grade coins ranging from poor to mint state. The highest categories, extra fine and uncirculated, are particularly desirable. A 1965 Philadelphia nickel exhibiting the red color shade in extra fine or uncirculated condition could be worth a significant amount. Coins in superb condition are highly prized by collectors, and a 1965 nickel with vibrant red coloration and minimal wear could be worth a small fortune. These rare red-toned nickels are especially valuable, with prices fluctuating over time. A top-tier coin with this coloration could easily command $170,000 or more. In some instances, near-perfect examples of this coin have even been known to sell for over $1 million at auctions. The most visually striking red-toned nickels are the most coveted, drawing interest from collectors who are particularly passionate about these extraordinary hues. So how can you identify one? It all comes down to the details. Carefully examine the coin's surface, looking for any indication of the rare reddish tint. Take a close look at both sides of the coin. The more vibrant and uniform the red coloration, the rarer the find. Additionally, be sure to inspect the mint mark, which should appear near the bottom right corner of the building depicted on the reverse side. If the coin lacks a mint mark and displays that stunning red hue, it's possible that you've discovered a highly valuable piece. If you're fortunate enough to possess one of these rare red nickels, it's crucial to handle it with care. Store it safely in a protective holder, such as a Tox 2 or a coin capsule, to prevent any damage. Under no circumstances should you clean the coin, as doing so could severely diminish its value. Proper preservation is key to maintaining the coin's worth. That brings us to the end of today's exploration into the 1965 Jefferson nickel. These rare and exceptional coins hold incredible value, and with the right care, they can make a remarkable addition to any collection. Next up, the 1954 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark, in surprisingly worn and dirty condition. At first glance, this coin might not seem like a treasure, but there's more to it than meets the eye. While most collectors focus on coins in pristine condition, this particular 1954 nickel has its own story to tell. Its lack of a mint mark and its dirty state make it an unusual specimen, raising questions about its origins and why it could still have significant value despite its appearance. Let's take a closer look at this intriguing coin. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse. But it's the 1954 issue that holds a particular mystery. In 1954, the U.S. Mint produced nickels in three locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Normally coins minted in Philadelphia would bear a P mint mark, but in this case we're dealing with a 1954 nickel that lacks any mint mark altogether. While a missing mint mark may not seem significant in the world of numismatics, it can be a noteworthy anomaly. But there's more. This coin's condition adds another layer of intrigue. Although the nickel appears dirty or tarnished, it's important to remember that many coins over the years have undergone wear and environmental exposure, giving them a unique patina. Coins in this state often carry a history of their own, having seen decades of use and touch. Despite its wear, the 1954 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark still has potential value for collectors. In terms of price, these coins typically fall within a specific range depending on the condition. A well-worn 1954 nickel without a mint mark, especially one that is tarnished or dirty, generally holds a value of around $150,000 to $165,000. However, it's worth noting that coins in particularly good condition, even with a lack of mint mark, can fetch higher amounts. While it may not reach the lofty price points of a pristine specimen, the missing mint mark makes this coin desirable to collectors, particularly those who specialize in minting errors or unique variations. If the coin were in better condition or had more distinct wear patterns, it could potentially increase in value. Coins with unique features like a missing mint mark are often sought after by those looking to complete their collection of variations. So how do you evaluate this particular coin's worth? While it might not command the same high prices as its uncirculated counterparts, a 1954 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark still has a place in a collector's portfolio. A coin like this could range anywhere from $150,000 to $175,000 depending on the level of wear, tarnishing, and overall rarity in the market. When it comes to collecting such coins, it's crucial to handle them with care. Despite its condition, the 1954 nickel is still a part of history, and preserving it for future generations requires proper storage. Avoid cleaning the coin, as this could further damage its surface and decrease its value. Instead, consider placing it in a protective holder or capsule to shield it from further wear. So, while this 1954 Jefferson nickel may not be the rarest or most pristine coin, its rarity and distinctive features make it an intriguing addition to any collection. With its missing mint mark and aged appearance, it stands as a reminder of the quirks and stories that make numismatics so fascinating. That wraps up our look at the 1954 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark. It may not be the rarest or most pristine coin, but it certainly carries its own unique charm, and for the right collector, it could be a hidden gem. Moving on, let's take a look at another iconic nickel, the 1983 USA 5-cent coin. The 1983 5-cent coin stands out because of the dramatic economic changes happening in the US during the early 1980s. While the coin itself has the same Jefferson design, its production marked an important moment in US coinage history. In 1983, the U.S. economy was transitioning under President Ronald Reagan's administration. Inflation was high, and the economy was moving toward a period of significant growth and expansion. This is important to note because, by this time, the cost of producing coins had risen considerably, and there were serious discussions about the value of metals used in minting. The 1983 nickel continued to be made from the traditional copper-nickel alloy, which had been in use since 1866. The 1983 coin, however, had to contend with the rising price of metals. With the penny's composition also under review, it's interesting to note that the 1983 nickel was produced during a time when coin production costs were increasingly becoming a hot topic in the U.S. Treasury. Just like the 1965 nickel, the 1983 5-cent piece features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. The obverse inscription includes the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1983. On the reverse, Monticello's depiction is slightly more detailed than in earlier versions, with more attention to the architectural features of the building. In 1983, over 700 million 5-cent coins were minted, again across all three major U.S. mint facilities. The mintage numbers are large, so the 1983 nickel isn't considered rare. As such, most of these coins are worth their face value, and even in mint state, they only command a small premium around $300 to $600, depending on the grade. However, some errors such as off-center strikes or die cracks have been discovered, and these can boost the value for collectors interested in error coins. The 1983 version has some interesting error coins. The most common errors for the 1983 5-cent coin include off-center strikes, weak strikes, and die cracks. These imperfections are highly valued among error coin collectors. If you're lucky enough to find an uncirculated 1983 nickel with one of these errors, it could be worth much more than just a few cents. Overall, the 1983 nickel is often sought by collectors who are focusing on coins from the 1980s or completing a set of Jefferson nickels. Next up, 1974 Jefferson nickel without mint mark. Now, this particular coin might seem pretty common. You'll see these often in circulation, especially in pocket change or maybe tucked away in a jar. But what if I told you that a 1974 nickel without a mint mark in worn, circulated condition might actually be worth a lot more than you think? You see, many of these coins were made without much thought about their future value. People just spent them, tossed them into their piggy banks, or used them for vending machines. But over time, some of these coins have become rarer, and their value has skyrocketed due to the rarity of specific features, like the absence of a mint mark or unique wear patterns. Before we dive into how a worn-out 1974 nickel can suddenly turn into a high-value item, let's first talk about something essential when it comes to coin collecting: mint marks. Mint marks are tiny letters that are stamped onto coins to indicate where they were made. In the United States, there are a few different mint marks you might come across. The most common ones are P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. These marks can significantly impact the value of a coin. So why does that matter for a coin like our 1974 nickel? Well, let's say you find a 1974 nickel, and it's missing the mint mark entirely. Now, this isn't the typical scenario, since most coins in circulation back then were stamped with either a P, D, or S. But if you happen to come across a 1974 nickel without a mint mark, especially if it's in decent condition, you're holding something really special. In fact, the 1974 nickel without a mint mark is one of those rare instances where a coin can command serious attention from collectors. And here's where things get even more interesting: the condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value. Sure, a 1974 nickel might not look like much if it's worn, scratched, or dirty, but the reality is that condition is a huge factor in determining the worth of any coin. Condition is one of the most important factors in coin collecting and pricing. When a coin circulates, it gets exposed to all kinds of wear and tear, friction from being handled, dirt, scratching, or even being dropped. Over time, all of that reduces the sharpness of the coin's features, like the face of Jefferson or the outline of Monticello. But here's the thing: graded coins, especially those in well-worn but rare forms, can still be highly valuable. In fact, a 1974 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark in circulated condition, while not in pristine shape, could be worth thousands to the right collector. To give you a better idea of how this works, let's talk about coin grading. Coin grading is a system used to determine a coin's condition based on its physical appearance. There are several grading scales, with the most common being the 1 to 70 scale, where a grade of 70 represents a perfect, flawless coin, and 1 represents one that's heavily worn and damaged. Coins that grade higher in this scale can be worth significantly more, especially if they have that rare characteristic we're talking about: no mint mark or a specific mint mark that's harder to find. When you're holding a coin that's been circulating for decades, it's likely going to be somewhere around a grade 20 or 30. That's still a coin that could fetch you a bit of money, especially if it's missing the mint mark or has another unique feature. Now, I know what you're thinking: okay, so how do I actually figure out what my 1974 nickel is worth? Well, the most important thing to remember is that condition and rarity go hand in hand. If your coin shows signs of wear, like a rubbed-down Jefferson or a faded Monticello, that wear can actually work in your favor when it's paired with the right mint mark or lack thereof. For example, a 1974 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark that's in circulated condition could be worth several $1,000s. Now, I'm not saying every 1974 nickel is worth that much, but I'm telling you, some of these coins have been known to reach prices between $155,000 and $170,000 when they're in top shape or meet a specific criterion that collectors are after. And that's not an exaggeration. There are stories of similar coins selling for that kind of money, especially in higher grades. So, let's take a step back. What makes this coin so valuable? First, it's the mint mark. A missing mint mark on a 1974 nickel is rare, and rarity drives value in the world of coins. Second, it's the condition. Coins that have seen years of use and have that character to them, the signs of age, the worn features, can still have a story to tell. Collectors love that. The way a coin has aged, its history, how it's been handled over time, all of that can make a coin incredibly valuable. Now, you're probably wondering, how can I figure out if my coins are worth anything? Well, it's all about doing your research. Check for mint marks, examine the condition, and pay attention to the details. Even a well-worn coin could have a hidden value if it's got that perfect combination of rarity and condition. And the best part? You don't need to be an expert to get started. There are plenty of resources out there, from coin grading guides to websites where you can track auction prices, to help you determine what your coins might be worth. Next, let's turn our attention to the 1962 USA 5-cent coin. The 1962 USA 5-cent coin, part of the Jefferson nickel series, is another significant coin in the history of U.S. numismatics. It was produced at a time when the country was still dealing with the aftermath of the Korean War and entering the midst of the Cold War. In 1962, the U.S. economy was entering a period of expansion. The coinage from this era represents a unique period of history, as America was about to embark on the civil rights movement, and the coin designs themselves reflect a period of stability in U.S. currency. One thing to note about the 1962 nickel is that it was produced just 3 years before the minting of the 1965 coin we discussed earlier, which would introduce the switch away from silver in U.S. coinage. The 1962 5-cent coin features the same design as the 1965 nickel. The obverse features Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse shows Monticello. The overall design is timeless, and it's still widely recognized by collectors today. The 1962 nickel had a mintage of around 200 million coins, making it a bit rarer than the 1965 variety, but still not particularly valuable unless in high-grade or error conditions. Typically, a 1962 5-cent coin is worth its face value unless it's in uncirculated or excellent condition, in which case it could fetch between $400 and $650. Similar to the 1965 and 1983 coins, the 1962 5-cent coin has been found with errors. The most sought after of these are double die errors, where the image on the coin appears more than once, creating a blurry effect on the lettering or design. These error coins are highly prized by collectors, especially those focusing on mid-century American coinage. Finally, I'm talking about the 1948 Jefferson nickel with an S mint mark in fine condition. It may not be the most famous coin in history, but it has a story to tell. And depending on the condition, it could be more valuable than you think. So, let's get right into it. The 1948 Jefferson nickel, particularly the one with an S mint mark, can be quite the treasure. But here's the kicker, while it might not always be worth a fortune, some rare coins, even ones that seem relatively common, can fetch insane amounts when the conditions are right. For example, there's a rare U.S. coin, a 1913 Liberty Head nickel, that can sell for a mind-blowing $165,000 to $183,000 at auction, depending on its condition. And believe it or not, what sets these coins apart from others isn't just the year or design, but something much more subtle, the mint mark and the condition of the coin itself. So, what exactly are mint marks, and how do they impact the value of a coin like the 1948 Jefferson nickel? Let's break it down. Mint marks are small letters on a coin that indicate where it was made. In the case of the 1948 Jefferson nickel, there are a few possible mint marks P, D and S. The P mint mark stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which historically produced the majority of coins for circulation. The D mint mark represents the Denver Mint, another major U.S. mint facility. The S mint mark, which we're focusing on today, stands for the San Francisco Mint. Now, you might think that all mint marks are created equal, but that's not exactly true. You see, certain mint marks are rarer than others, and that rarity can directly affect the coin's value. For example, a 1948 nickel from the San Francisco Mint, the S mint mark, is considered rarer than the same coin minted in Philadelphia. Why? Because, in 1948, the San Francisco Mint produced fewer coins compared to the Philadelphia Mint, making the S Mint Mark version more difficult to find. Less supply means higher demand and, in turn, potentially higher value. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, okay, that's cool, but what about the condition of the coin? How does that play into the value? Excellent question. Coin condition is just as important as the mint mark itself, and here's why. When collectors, dealers, or even professional graders look at a coin, they assess it based on its overall condition, also known as its grade. A coin's grade can range from poor to perfect, and the condition has a massive impact on how much it's worth. You've probably heard of the term fine condition, which is often used to describe a coin that's still in good shape but shows some wear and tear. A 1948 Jefferson nickel in fine condition is far more valuable than one that's been through a lot of rough handling or extreme wear. But let's dive a little deeper. Coin condition is graded based on several factors, such as wear, luster, and overall appearance. Wear refers to the physical signs of use, things like scratches, dents, or fading details on the design. When a coin is circulated for years, it gets worn down, and its sharp features start to soften. For example, on the 1948 Jefferson nickel, wear might blur the fine details on Thomas Jefferson's portrait or cause the steps on Monticello, the building on the reverse side, to fade. The less wear, the better the condition. Another factor is luster. Luster refers to the shiny, reflective surface of a coin when it's freshly minted. Over time, coins lose their luster from circulation. A coin that still has some shine left is generally considered to be in better condition than one that has a dull, flat appearance. If your 1948 nickel still has some luster and clear details, it'll be more valuable than one that's been worn smooth by years of use. Coin grading also involves factors like any discoloration, damage, or cleaning. If a coin is cleaned, even if it's done carefully, it can lose value. Cleaning can leave noticeable marks or scratches that diminish the appeal of the coin. It's usually better to leave the coin as is, letting its natural aging process take place. So, how does all of this tie together with the 1948 Jefferson nickel? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. A 1948 S Mint Mark nickel that's in fine condition might not break the bank. It's typically valued at a few dollars, depending on demand and collector interest. But if the same coin were in higher condition, say, in very fine or extra fine condition, it could be worth much more. The importance of grading cannot be understated, especially for collectors who are looking to make a smart investment. In fact, some 1948 Jefferson nickels, when graded at the highest levels, have been sold for several $100s at auction. A well-preserved example can definitely make a significant impact on your collection. Here's the kicker, though, coin condition and rarity aren't just important for the 1948 Jefferson nickel. They play a huge role in the market for all kinds of coins. For example, if you happen to come across an old 1916 Mercury dime in near-perfect condition, it could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on its grade. Coins in exceptional condition, like uncirculated coins or those with minimal wear, often have the highest prices. Ultimately, the value of any coin, including the 1948 Jefferson nickel, depends on a combination of factors: the mint mark, the rarity, and most importantly, the condition. Whether it's the fine details of a well-worn nickel or the pristine shine of a freshly minted coin, the condition makes a world of difference when it comes to value. So, the next time you pull out your change or look through your collection, take a closer look at the coins you've got.